A very good afternoon to you. At this hour on the business desk, we look at the rise to 54 points that has been recorded in the April Purchasing Managers Index. That's from the 49.2 points dip that was recorded in the previous month. This rebound is attributed to improved business activity along with better domestic demand that has filtered through to higher new sales orders. An ease in load shedding has also been identified as a positive contributing factor. Absa economist Sello Sekele speaks to us about this. Thank you so much for your time, Sello. Is this what the market expected, especially on the side of load shedding having eased for a full month?
Good afternoon, and thanks for having me. You could say that, yes, I mean, it's widely expected that when we've seen a lot of days in April without load shedding, that, businesses in the manufacturing sector are likely to report improving business conditions. So I think at the back of that, I could say it was widely expected.
Widely expected. Is the momentum expected to continue, though, as we have been promised fewer load shedding, none at all, if all goes accordingly?
Yeah, so in terms of the momentum, a number of things will matter, right? So Eskom came out to guide for around stage 2 load shedding in the winter period. So look, we know that businesses have said that they can cope with anything below stage 4. So it will be quite interesting to see that, in the winter months, are we going to get a more intense load shedding or around stage 2? So if it's around stage 2, you would think businesses will cope quite well with that. So yeah, the momentum will depend on a number of variables that, as things stand, are unknown.
And of course, South Africa is still facing challenges on the logistical side of trade. Has that had any impact whatsoever in the Absa PMI reading?
I can say that maybe to a lesser extent, it has, because if you look at the number of days it takes to berth a ship now, it's about 4 to 5 days, and this is quite low compared to the 11 days or so that we saw in December. So yes, I mean, you would think that if ports are functioning well, that should mean well for the manufacturing sector, as they need to ship out as well as ship in materials for their production.
And that speaks directly to the demand for new sales orders. Would we say that this particular reading of PMI that's come in at nearly 2 months of a high, or 2 years of a high, is where South Africa would want to be?
Yeah, so when you're talking about new sales orders, which is more or less a proxy for demand, one thing that I want to say, or two things. The first is the increase was driven mainly by domestic demand, but on the international side, it looks like demand remains quite sluggish. So I would say that we should read this number with some cautious optimism.
Of course, we'll take it with the optimism that we all deserve, given the current dynamics of the global economy. And as you rightfully indicated, what else is taking place in the world economy? Geopolitical matters, are they a hindrance at all as a near-term risk to South Africa?
Yeah, so, geopolitical risks are quite important for South Africa. If you think about it, when you have to reroute from the Red Sea to the Cape Town route, what that does for people in the West is that they have to pay more, right, for transportation costs, and we trade with them. So what tends to happen is that they will have sticky inflation, and we will import some of that inflation, which would mean, risks to a direction of later cuts for us if inflation in other countries stay sticky. talking about inflation also, there are local dynamics that are likely to keep inflation, sticky, like the drier than expected weather conditions that we are seeing. So, global politics matter, and it cannot be ignored for what it means for SA.
Of course, on the domestic front, we have our own political climate that is building up to the elections. How are we expected to fare going into those polls? 2024, of course, being dubbed one of the biggest litmus tests the political realm is expected to experience.
Yeah, so I think what would matter here in terms of elections, right, is which party or which parties emerge victorious. That's one. And then two, are we going to see an ANC that has majority, or are we going to see a coalition? And then if the ANC emerges as the victorious party with majority, you would expect, more or less the status quo in terms of the policy trajectory that we're seeing. Now, if we're going to be in a coalition, it will be interesting what kind of policies the coalition parties will be speaking about. So businesses will be looking at what happens after elections, and then we'll see how that filters to business confidence, to investment, and therefore economic growth.
Thank you, as always, for your input. Sello Sekele is an economist with Absa, talking us through their latest Purchasing Managers Index coming in at a positive 54 points in the month of April.